Jeff
Listen,
Blashill.
all yous out there, what I tell you, the writing was already on the wall. What do I say with Steve Yzerman? Listen. Watch. This is part of the rebuild. This is part of the journey. Remember, Steve Yzerman did not hire Jeff Blashill. All right? So I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. This is the hashtag a wiser plan. Don't forget it.
Look, I'm not saying the Red Wings are hiding from anything, but it's the old media trick where you release news, as the NFL draft is going on, or you put it out there at Friday at 5. Those are some of the classic public relations tricks that you do. But the Red Wings moved on from Jeff Blashill. And, it's a scenario where I said this in the midst of the collapse, where there was going to have to be a pound of flesh for the fans that are out there. And there's two camps with this that I've noticed on social media. There's the pound the table, put the flag in the air and take to the streets and say, yes, we got our pound of flesh. And then there's the other camp that says, hey, he was an integral part of the organization. The deck was stacked against him, which we'll get into some of the things. I'm certainly not here to make excuses for him, and I wouldn't say it's making excuses. It's pointing out facts. But with all that being said, we were wondering who we were going to talk to about this. So I got two guests to come in and give their thoughts. And D-Mac, you said it in our little teaser video that we put out on social media. We have two responses. One from Darren McCarty, one from D-Mac. Which way are we going?
Which one do you want?
D-Mac.
I'll give you the D-Mac first.
All right, there you go. All right. So now, without any further ado, we go over to our Red Wings insider, D-Mac, for his response to what happened with Jeff Blashill.
Listen, all yous out there, what I tell you, all right? I know because I got the playbook, all right? So I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Exactly. But wait on it. And what Neil said is perfect, right? Because Jeff Blashill, look at how it was done. Distinguished, prideful, stuff like this in the Steve Yzerman in the Red Wing way. He wasn't fired, right? He was released. His contract wasn't extended, which means, look back, it was a 1-year contract, which the writing was already on the wall, okay? And for everybody else, I look back at this and just say history sort of playing itself out, Neil, and it's exactly what Steve has seen coming. Now, I'll let Darren break down everything else because he's a little bit more, I guess...
a little more corporate?
A little more corporate, but seriously, this is part of the rebuild. This is part of the journey. And I love when people bring stats about what happened in the last 20 games of the tenure or whatever. It can't dig deep about the why that has happened. Everybody just goes, well, this, all that, right? So now it's this sort of thing. The way Stevie did it is the way that he's always done it. Respectfully, with pride, right?
With taste,
and showing
yeah.
Jeff Blashill pride. Obviously, he's not happy. He's a parent, okay? Steve Yzerman is a parent, but he has a finger on the pulse. Now, this leaves so many different questions, and we could talk about who the next coach is. But just know Steve Yzerman, right, has hired. Now, remember, Steve Yzerman did not hire Jeff Blashill. He retained Jeff Blashill because what did he see, Neil? Just like we were talking about with the salary cap of what the Lions are trying to do, you got to get the books right. And obviously, the coach at that time wasn't the number one priority. He was probably 5. What's pushed up is that it made him a priority this year, and he's not the guy leading the charge. I am 100% confident Jeff Blashill lands on his feet. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not part of this organization in the front office because that's what he means, And I would love, and somebody commented on here, I will. D-Mac will reach out to Jeff Blashill and see if he wants to come in and so I could say thank you to him and just talk about, from his point of view, whether he would or he wouldn't. But this is a good day. It's something that for everybody that needed their head.
Their pound of flesh.
Why do you need your pound of flesh when you're garbage? Right? That's loser mentality. That's not winning. It's building. I love that.
That's not winning, Joy.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not winning. But this is sort of winning, and it's building. And with everything else, we're going to talk later this week. We'll go into season review and what's coming down the pipe. I'm going to leave it with this. D-Mac's going to leave it with this because I'm a little heated, and I got to turn it over to Darren. And is the fact that the writing's always on the wall. What do I say with Steve Yzerman? Listen, watch, right? Because I'll say it right now. If I would read the tea leaves on what is next, I think there's not only a whole bunch of Swedes coming into the lineup, I think there's a whole bunch of Swedes coming behind the bench. We're going to leave it at that.
Interesting. Now we will go over to Darren McCarty for his thoughts on Jeff Blashill.
Hey, Neil. Thanks for having me. Hey, just Big D Energy.
Four-time Stanley Cup champion, everybody.
Big
Darren
fan.
McCarty.
Hey, little Darren. You know that if you blow smoke on it, it'll come alive. Anyways, that's D-Mac mentality right there. Sorry, he was still here. But no, guys, I mean, this is all part of the process. And I've read on Twitter and stuff, people talking about giving up 9 or 10 goals, never getting by the first round. Do you guys understand that Jeff Blashill was, for a lack of a better term or using an analogy, sort of the Jacques Demers of this era? And anybody who's not old enough but understands, Jacques Demers coached his team late 80s, early 90s. But what did he develop, and what did you have come out of that? You had a captain in Steve Yzerman. You had some young players. You had to develop the draft. There had to be somebody.
You had to build defensively because that team gave up a lot of goals.
You had to bring in and get drafted as far as like the Nick Lidstroms, the Fedorovs. You had to get the team in the position to be able to accumulate draft capital, right? I'm a product of the 92 draft, second round. 4-time Stanley Cup champion. You look at from 89 to 95, 96 of some of the integral parts that were drafted to this team.
Dominating the draft.
Dominating the draft, right? Kenny Holland back in the day doing his early work with Brian Murray and then moving on. So it's all this process. When the big picture and the plan, what Steve did in Tampa Bay and putting that team together, and going back to Blashill, you can't come out from behind. When I tell you that you're supposed to go to war and fight, you gotta. I get it. Henrik Zetterberg's like your number one, but Franz Nielsen's your number two. When you're fighting against Chicago, that's got Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane, and then you're fighting with Tampa Bay, that's got Kucherov and Point and the Hedmans and stuff like this. You just didn't have the roster to do it. There was a 3-1 lead in the Chicago series back in 10 years ago. Right, was a legitimate chance, but that was more of the Babcock. So you move into Blashill, and it's just what he had to deal with. I think he did such an admirable job. And when people sit back and realize this, that without the Jeff Blashill era, without the development, did you know that the Detroit Red Wings, the rookies on this team, set the record for most points in a season? Because, the Wallman came in and added some points and stuff like this. But what Mo Seider and Lucas Raymond did, you can't do that without development of the coach. So as a team moving forward, right? As a team moving forward, this is the best decision. I think the writing was on the wall. Since people just want it all now. And all you got to understand, what is apparent more, and I flashed something out on it when I heard. This is the hashtag, a wiser plan. Don't forget it. So now with the things we're talking about with the Lions and stuff about the draft and about salary cap and stuff like this, look into Detroit's books. Because what do you got, a ranch house, maybe a 2-door, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with the Lions? You're building that West Bloomfield, Steve Yzerman palatial palace with LCA, with your capital, right? So I think this is the new step. I always go history-wise, right? Jacques Demers to Brian Murray, right? Then to Scotty Bowman. Stevie's going to skip the Brian Murray, which means I don't think it's a recycled guy.
And here's the thing, too. And, as I was talking about that where people want their pound of flesh with Blashill and all that stuff, I was leaning towards that, where I was as happy as a lot of you guys were out there. But D-Mac brought up a good point to me. And this was something that and it's weird, right? Because he actually got this from me.
I learned. So here's the perfect example, and I think that goes right to Sammy Flannel, right? With new information, you
Yeah.
change your opinion. Because I learned specifically one of Neil's back pocket.
It's a barometer, D-Mac,
One
like
of your
how I
barometers,
roll.
use your barometer to back on you. So feel free to use these sort of things because sometimes that's the way to get through. You got through to Juice's Ghost earlier with the draft capital and salary cap.
Yeah, and here's the thing, too. Like, take into account the 2018-2019 season. Jeff Blashill's 4 highest paid players were Dylan Larkin 1, Jimmy Howard 2, a 34-year-old Franz Nielsen 3, and Danny DeKaiser 4. That's what it was,
Are you
man.
going to win a 3-on-3 game? Maybe?
There isn't
In the beer league?
There
Up in
isn't
St. Ignace
a
that-
fairy from a story that could sprinkle dust on that and make it work, man. Nobody could make that work because that's the reality. And then when you go up from there and you go to the next season and you look and you take a look at what's going on. Dylan Larkin's your highest paid player in 2019-2020. Franz Nielsen's your second highest paid player. Justin Abdelkader's your third highest paid player. Jimmy Howard's your 4th highest paid player. Your 5th highest paid player is Darren Helm. What's the man supposed to do? This is me speaking. This is Neil Rule's views. Ken Holland was more responsible for that era of Red Wings hockey than Jeff Blashill was. Period, point blank.
Absolutely.
Because I can go back and show you the books. I can go back and show them to you. Who the hell was supposed to win with that? Who? I'll wait. Tell me what coach in the world would win with that. Nick Saban ain't winning with that. That's just the way it is. And both things can be true. Did the team tune it out at the end? Yes. Was Ken Holland awful at the end of his time here for the Red Wings? Yes. I'm sorry. Did he do a great job assembling Stanley Cup runs and oversee arguably the greatest team in the history of the NHL for an extended period of time? Yes. Was the end a disaster? Yes. And that's just as much on Ken Holland as it is on Jeff Blashill.
Which we're gonna get into because, like you said, you know what it comes down to, Neil. A lot of the times, is successful. How many times do you see people create a successful business, then sell it off, and then go try to create another one and fail?